Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Tanisha Denny will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Thank you so much for watching Heart of Greenville, where we get to hear the stories behind the wonderfully great people of our community. I asked Melva Hill to come on the show because of her kind spirit and her leadership in our community. Here's my conversation with Melva Hill. Hey y'all, I'm Tanisha Denny, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today we're sitting down at 1407 Tanglewood Drive in Commerce, Texas, currently listed by Lindsay Sutton with REMAX 3D Real Estate. But our special guest today is Miss Melva Hill. How are you today, Melva?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So I was thinking back, how did you and I know one another? And the furthest I can go back is Altrusa. My mom and I were in Altrusa.
Exactly.
Early 2000s.
Yes. Just into the new millennium.
Yes.
And then, of course, we've interacted with chamber activities and that sort of thing. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I got to see your strength, though, when we were in Altrusa.
Well,
and your heart. When I say strength, though, I mean heart, too. And
great.
Your leadership. So I appreciate I was young, man. Back then I was 20 years younger than I am today.
Yes.
So it was great to see someone who.
But you had potential back there, and I see that you're fulfilling it.
Oh, thank you. See, that's that positive spirit I'm talking about.
Aww.
So, and I know you as just a community volunteer. You're so involved in the community and giving back. And when I was in the Hunt County leadership class, and we were doing that for 9 months of the year, and honestly, that was one of the best things I ever did through the Chamber of Commerce was that Hunt County leadership class.
It's a terrific program.
It is.
I encourage any and everyone to take part in it.
Yeah, I know. I learned so much about our county that
Absolutely.
I did not know. And I thought, I live here. I grew up here, and I didn't know all this. So it's a great program. But you were one of our guests one of the months, and one of the things you talked about was community volunteering.
Yes.
And one of the things that stuck with me was when someone asks you to volunteer, you should always ask questions before you just say yes.
Correct.
And that really stuck with me because I was at a point in time, that was around 2008, 2009, that I was so involved. And so, I learned every time you say yes, you're actually saying no to something else.
Exactly.
And you don't know what that is. So thank you for instilling that in me. And that helped me going forward.
I'm so happy to know at least one student soaked it all in. And the main reason why I do that is because so often we take on things and it's not what we thought it was going to be. And then we end up falling short and then you start to kind of beat yourself up because you didn't follow through. And it's just a plethora of things that domino.
Yes.
And it can cause you to not want to volunteer for something again. So it's always good to ask questions and you get a clear view of what's going on.
That's right. That is great advice. Well, Melva, I wanted you to come on the show because I want to hear your story. And I think the people in our community would love to hear your story. We see you get on the stage from time to time and we see the things you do. But, we don't know, where did you grow up? How did you get to Greenville? What do you do in your day-to-day life? So just kind of start us from the beginning and tell us, where did you grow up and how'd you get here?
Well, I am a native Texan and a native Greenvilleite as well.
That's awesome.
Yes, and I grew up here. I went to school here. As a matter of fact, I went to what used to be East Texas State University.
Right here in Commerce.
Yes, right here in Commerce. And I am one of 4 children. And now I have 4 of my own. And I have 6 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren.
Oh, congratulations. What a blessing.
Yeah. And I left Greenville for a while because my husband was in the Air Force. And he was stationed in Maryland, which was just on the outskirts of D.C., that portion of Maryland. He was attached to the presidential security team.
Really?
And
how fun.
He used to have to bring the planes to Greenville to E-Systems so that they could be maintained. And a friend of mine introduced us, and the rest is history. We were married.
So was he from Greenville too?
No, he was originally from Mississippi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure that
out. No. But it was just the Lord orchestrating that our paths crossed, and we were married in 1976. I was a bicentennial bride.
Oh.
And we were there, after we were married, we were there about 3 years, and then we moved back to Texas because E-Systems offered him a job. And so we were here, let's see, we've been married 37 years, almost 38, and he passed away. And so now
I'm
it's
so
just me.
sorry.
Thank you.
How long?
Thank you.
When did he pass away?
In 2014.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
You had to find your new norm.
yeah, I hate that phrase.
Okay, we won't. I take it back. I put those words back.
I'm just moving on. You
Yeah,
know,
moving forward, yes.
Everything that happens for a reason. I know that, and you just readjust. Is all it amounts to. Is nothing ever really stays completely the same. So you just have to readjust, and I did that. Fortunately for me, I was an involver, I guess, if there's such a word. But I was always into this and that and the other. And so that has helped me tremendously. One of the main things that I have been a part of for 22 years, I find it so hard to believe, just about to approach 23, is Altrusa International of Greenville.
Yes.
And I am currently serving my second term as president and really loving it. I was really kind of leery of it because the last time I did it was nearly 20 years ago. And so much has changed. Yes, it has. But the mission is still the same. And that's doing what you can to the best that you can in your community. And Altrusa does that in so many different ways.
Will you take a minute and talk about Altrusa? People probably, not everyone knows what Altrusa is. So share with us about it.
Altrusa is a predominantly women's service organization. That's what it started out to be. And we began in 1917. And our local club has been around since 1953. And we are roughly in, I believe it's now 13 different countries, including the United States. And we have just such a passion for working in our communities. Our primary focus is literacy, although we do other events and programs and projects. Right now we're working on something that I'm really, really excited about. For about 15 years or so, Altrusa has done what we call Reading Rodeo.
Yes.
And we go from one school to another. We adopt one school that year and go to that school and read to the kids. Well, in the course of reading, we bring all these books in and let the child choose a book. And then once they choose that book, we give them that book.
It to them.
And it's amazing to see the look on kids' faces when you tell them it's theirs, because they're not really expecting a gift. Well, this year I wanted to add a new little spin to it. So we're creating personal libraries. So we're going to give the kids a bag with roughly 3 to 5 books in it, just depending on what our cost comes down to. But they will have books to start their own personal library.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I'm excited about it.
That is so exciting. Of course, that's what you're doing. You're like, we can't do status quo. We've got to step that up. I love that.
And that's a big part of me. I don't like doing the same old 6 and 7. I'm always looking for a quirk somewhere, somehow.
I love that about you. You're always thinking outside of the box. Like, how can we make this better? I love that.
And I've got a wonderful group of ladies that are supporting me. Our club size is, I think last count was 52. And that, that's a nice, manageable size.
Yes.
And we have really been fortunate that this year, even with the pandemic, we've been able to still do our meetings, but we have Zoom. And so we're adding that into it. And that was a new little caveat that I had to adjust to.
Right.
Because I'm not real big on technology and all of that. I'm a dinosaur, and I admit that.
No.
While I love change, I'm still, die hard about that.
Yes.
But it's really been great because we've had folks that have not been able to make it in. We have a lot of folks that they're taking care of their grandkids or something because of this situation that we're in. So that allows them the opportunity to still be able to do it, but they can participate in Altrusa. So
that's wonderful.
I'm loving that. I absolutely
You know
am.
what? it still says a lot about you. You decided to go ahead and pivot and jump in and do the Zoom, even though you don't love it, and so that you can keep that connectivity.
Yeah.
And it's not my favorite either, but it did allow for people to still be connected.
Yes.
And that was important.
Absolutely.
During those, especially those first few weeks and months, really, of that.
And let's see, about me, I guess I'm the business manager for Atkinson's Florist, and that's another thing that is a big part of my life. I've been with them for roughly close to 40 years now. Even when I worked other jobs, I work for Atkinson's part-time. So we'll always have that connection.
Yes, always been there.
Yes. And Tubby was such a major influence in not only my life, but this community that, I've got some big shoes to fill, but I keep trying. And then my main job is that I am a pastor in Wolf City at Ebenezer Baptist Church, and again, breaking another mold. I was the first female pastor, and we recently celebrated 131 years in the community at our church, and had a historical marker dedicated a couple of 3 weeks ago, and so that keeps me involved in a level that I never thought I would be. And
how did you get to that church to be that pastor?
Ooh. Well, I had a few issues in my home church. Okay. And I just thought, I love God too much to just walk away completely. So I thought I'll just start visiting different churches. And a friend of mine was pastor there. And I just started visiting, and he said, why don't you come and stay with us? And I said, well, no, I'm just visiting. And if one Sunday I just say I'm here, then I'm here to stay. And it just turned out that he was ready to resign. And he did. He resigned in June of 2011. And then I went into interim until January of 2012. And then I became the pastor in January of 2012.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So what has that experience been like for you?
It's a wonderful experience. It really is, because you know who your boss is, and I try so much harder to please him than I have any other boss I've ever had. But the reward is knowing that you are not only glorifying God, but you are leading people to Christ, and you are helping people to stay on target with Christ. Because, we have so many different situations that we get caught up in that, we kind of lose our focus, and we don't do all that we should be doing because we're more focused on the problem than we are on the problem solver. Mm-hmm. So, that part of it has been great. There are some times that I think, oh my God, were you sure this is what you wanted me to do? Right. But, people are people, and you just learn that you're always going to have somewhat of a challenge. Sometimes on a scale of 1 to 10, they may be a 3, but then other times they're at 11.5. So you just deal with that, and you learn to learn people. And as you know, just as I walked in, I had a serious situation that I was confronted with, and you asked me if I could go on, and this is the reason that I can't go on, is because God is working through me. I mean, I try not to ever work on my power because I have none. Right. But if I allow him to move through me, I can handle whatever I need to handle at the moment. So
that's awesome. And what a testimony. I know. I had to run back to the car and I wanted to grab a couple of waters for us. And, I just kind of said a little prayer. I know.
Oh, bless your heart.
There was a heaviness.
Thank you. Yes.
And that's just what we have to do. We have to stop and, let him be in charge and in control.
Right.
And, that's just the way to be. So what a huge testimony to you. So I'm so glad we were able to sit down and continue to have our conversation.
I am too. Because I was looking forward to it, even though I broke my own rule and didn't ask you what all was involved. But, knowing you and your character, and I knew that it was something worthwhile. So I felt sure that I was good to go. So, and I'm glad I did. Yeah.
That says a lot. So thank you.
And the fact that you're the only one of my students that remembered what I taught that day. So
and You didn't even know that before you said
Right,
yes. So.
right. So that just made it even better.
That's awesome. So what are you working on now? Do you have any projects you're working on? Any special goals, plans for yourself?
Well, right now, I'm just kind of trying to stay on top of this pandemic. One of the things that has come out of it that I feel like is a very positive thing is, as I said, I'm not a techie type person, but because we couldn't be in the church for a while, I was doing live Facebook broadcasts, and that was tedious, to say the least. But I thought, okay, we'll just keep on doing it. Well, we did a couple of services on the parking lot, and then we went back into the sanctuary the Sunday after Mother's Day. And I thought, okay, I maybe I need to keep doing that. And so we set it up so that they could do it, film me during the church service. And I try to check, when I have the time, try to check the comments that were made. And not so much the comment, but the person that commented. And I started seeing people that were from my past, people that were all over the country, ladies that I have come to know through Altrusa, different states, across the country. And so I realized that, as the scripture says, the harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. This is a way that I can labor not only in my local vineyard, but I can labor in others. And maybe I'm the only sermon that they hear. Maybe that might bring them to Christ. Maybe it will give them some comfort. Whatever it's doing positively, I can't stop. So now we're set up to do it every Sunday. And so that broadcast goes out, and I'm so grateful because you just don't know who you're touching, because I didn't know you were going to remember what I said. And that's the reason why it's important for you to say what is needed to be said at the time it needs to be said.
That is wonderful. So does your congregation meet in person and you also broadcast live? You
Yes,
do both now?
simultaneously,
That's
yes.
wonderful. And that is so true. I have had someone before say, I saw you posted this about your church sermon at last Sunday or something like that. And you think maybe there were only a couple people who liked it, but you don't know who's reading it.
That's true.
So I keep posting because I don't know who is going to read it and who needs to hear what you have to say. And I think we need that reminder, and you're giving us a great reminder of why we should still say what's on our heart to help other people.
Right. I have to tell you a really cute story. One of my congregants, her daughter is on Facebook. She's not. She's almost 90 years old. And so what she would do would be to go over to her daughter's house so her daughter could set it up and everything, and she could hear it. And she said about the second Sunday that she did that, she would get up and dress like she was going to church. And she'd have on her Sunday best and sitting in her daughter's living room watching the broadcast. So, that was one of the confirmations that I knew that what we were doing was the best thing.
Yes.
So, but
our souls still need to be fed through that.
Absolutely.
Our church went virtually as well. And I was so thankful for that.
Yes.
And really became a season we enjoyed, actually. So my in-laws would come over and we would cook breakfast and, watch church.
Cool.
So it's great that you didn't stop that. And you didn't let the word stop through all of that.
I am very pleased that the Spirit did move me to do that, because I probably wouldn't if it was just me.
On your own. Yes. We get in our head too much sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So was there someone in your childhood or growing up that kind of put this spirit into you? Were you raised in church? Was God a part of your life when you were growing up?
Yes, He was. And yes, I did. It was my mother. My mom was about 5'4". If you looked at her. But when I looked at her, she was 9 feet tall.
9 feet tall.
Yeah, she was not easily 9 feet tall. And she was just this little powerhouse that she didn't take no for an answer. If she chose to do something, she was going to do that. And she taught me not only to, get out there and work for what you need and want, but she also taught me how to reach out to other people and to try to meet the needs of those who couldn't meet their own needs. She was that kind of giant in my life. I can remember my mother loved to cook, and I emphasize loved. I'm the kind of person that I don't even have to have a kitchen in my house, but my mother loved it. And even when we all left home and it was just her, sometimes she'd just get in the kitchen and cook like she was cooking for 10 or 15 people.
Wow.
And I would see her just, prepare meals and take them to people in the neighborhood or friends across town or wherever, because they might have been sick, or, the wife was, and the husband and the family couldn't eat. And she would do those kinds of things. And she worked with the Girl Scouts and just all kinds of stuff. So she gave me that format to follow. And so that's what I've done all these years. And I hope she could get in a bird's eye view of what's going on in my life. In 2017, I was blessed to be chosen as the worthy citizen of Greenville. And
congratulations. I remember
thank
that
you.
now that you're saying
Thank
that. That is an honor.
And I would have, the plaque should have gone to her because she planted that seed. And I would not be able to do something for someone if I saw people in need. So I've been involved in Habitat for Humanity, United Way, you name it.
That's awesome.
I've been in a lot of things.
How special that was your mom.
Yes.
That she instilled that in you. And, that's so important. So I know she would be super proud of you for sure.
I hope so. And she was always very supportive. When I was growing up, I've always been a big girl. But when I was maybe 10, I looked like I was 16. I've always had that going on in my life. And my mother, being shorter, didn't really understand that concept to the degree that I did. But it didn't matter. She still, was pushing, and she was always by my side. You can do this, you can do that. And so that was helpful because, kids can be cruel. And they were, and
Yes.
so because of that, I had a lot of, or could have had a lot of self-esteem issues. But I did have a few, but not to the degree that I would have had if it hadn't been for my mother. And she was just a loving parent. And my dad was too. I mean, I was spoiled rotten by him. But my mom was, and my dad just were always there and always encouraging and, giving you that pat on the back. And so and I encourage people to do that with their children, because children need to know, and they need to be validated. And the way that they are validated is by what you do. It's one thing to teach them, but when they follow through on what you've taught them, you need to let them know how proud you are of them, and you're glad that they chose to do this and do that and take this road or that road. So I wish people would get back to parenting. And I know that there are places that do parenting classes, and I think that's a crock, because you can't really teach a person how to be a parent. What you do is you show them. I mean, give books. And all you sociologists and psychologists and all that, I'm sure you're frowning, but I watched my parents. I watched them work hard. I watched them be fair and honest, and that was my class.
Yes.
You didn't put it in a book.
Right, it wasn't
and
in a
so, book. And if you just have to go to a book, go to the Bible. God said, train up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they're old, they will not astray. So, the only book that you need is, it was written a lot of years ago.
That's right.
But it's more of that visual and, and parents not trying to be their kids' friends. It aggravates me. You can have a friendship with your child, but that comes later when you are both adults, and you understand.
Yes.
But kids need to have that boundary. Everybody needs to have boundaries.
Right. That's right.
And they want them, I truly believe.
Right.
And so, but with kids, you certainly have to set them. Otherwise, they just keep pushing and crossing, and if you don't stop them at some point, that's why we have prisons that are full.
I know. Well, you were so blessed to have the parents who did that for you.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about the community real quick. Let's talk about Greenville and talk about what it is that you love about Greenville. Share with us your heart about that.
It's my home. I was born here, raised here. I went to school here. It's home for me. It's roots for me. And I was so blessed when E-Systems offered my husband a job that I could come back here and raise my children here, because I had seen what DC was like in raising kids, and it was not my style. So I wanted to be close to my mom and my sisters, and I knew that I would be able to do the things I needed to do. But the other reason why I moved back to Greenville is because Greenville needed to grow some. It needed some changes. And I knew that I couldn't do it from Maryland. You can't even change Greenville from Dallas. You need to be in the heart of things. And so I decided I wanted to move back home. We did. I got involved in everything from PTA, like I said, United Way, and this and that, simply to be able to make changes that needed to be made. And it's not still where I would love for it to be, but it's gaining ground. And, I can remember when we didn't have retail like we do now, and restaurants and recreation for that matter. You had the city park and the movie theater, and that was it. But now you have a few more things that you can do. And so my goal was to make my hometown a better place. And I think if you're going to live in a community, you need to actually live in it. And by live in it, I mean you are giving back to the community, you're involved in the community, you are voting in the community. That's my big thing right now. And so therefore, you are potentially making changes as you work your way through the community and as you live in the community. But I just wanted my hometown to be the best that it could be. And I have two of my children still live here, and one lives in the Metroplex and one in San Antonio. And but I've tried to teach them that, all of them that you just have to. How could you, if you were going to clean this house, you couldn't clean it from outside.
Right.
You have to be in it to do it. And so that's the way I feel about living in my community.
I love that. Man, I was sitting here going like, preach it.
Oh, don't say that word to me. Wouldn't take much.
All right, Melva, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And here's your pop question.
Oh.
So what is the best piece of advice you have ever been given, and how have you applied it?
Oh, that was an easy one. A very, very easy one.
I told you you'd know the answer.
My mother always taught me to do the best with what you have. But if you come up against something that you don't know about, find someone who does know and that you can trust and follow through. And because she has given me that advice, I've just applied it to pretty much everything I've ever done. When I have been in a managerial position, I have chosen people under me to do this and that because that's their strength, or this is their strength. When I was choosing the cabinet of mine for Altrusa, I chose people according to their strengths, and also put some of them in a position where they could learn and their strengths be revealed. Yes. So, that's probably the best piece of advice that my mom ever gave me. And I've tried to apply it any and everywhere I've been, regardless of whether it's in my personal life or my work life or my volunteer life.
That's awesome. Man, your mama was amazing.
Yes, she was. I told you, 9 feet tall.
Yeah, I understand now why she was 9 feet tall to you. Well, Melva, thank you so much for being on the show today. I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know more of your story, and I already loved you, so I love you even more now. So thank you.
Well,
and thank you for what you do for our community. You really have made it a better place.
Well, I certainly hope so. And it's not for my glory, it's for the glory of God and for generations to come. Yes. And that's why I do it. That's another reason why I do it. I forgot to mention that, but I do want to thank you for the opportunity. I can't believe we've been talking for 30 minutes, but then again, I talk so much, it just rolls off my tongue, and I have no idea what any kind of concept of time, but I'm so proud of you and how you have just grown and grown and grown and blossomed in such a wonderful woman. And
thank
keep it
you.
up. And I love this concept that you've got going. And
you.
many, many blessings on your success.
Oh, thank you so much. Love you.
Love you too, darling.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.